Good Thursday evening, America. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox. I'm the water boy. It's good to be with you. You are about to find out why Idaho is in the most important legal battle when it comes to the abortion laws right now. Yeah. You're about to find that out.
Really?
Yes,
We are?
you are.
At the front of it.
But first, we're on a mission to make magazines great again.
Yes.
So subscribe to our Fight, Laugh, Feast magazine. I just did this. This is a quarterly mini book-like experience packed full of a variety of authors that includes theological-driven cultural commentary, a psalm of the quarter, usually by like Aaron Snell or Mark Reagan or Jared Ritchie, I think even participated in that. Recipes for feasting. I got a barbecue recipe coming out in the next magazine. You guys aren't going to want to miss that. Laughter sprinkled throughout the glossy pages and more. Sign up your church, especially, Al Mohler, Robert Jeffries, maybe while we're talking about it, because he's come up a lot. Robert has recently. I don't know why, but sign him up. Sign up your grumpy uncle, and while you're at it, sign up the Pope, Elon Musk, and Russell Moore. Disclaimer: this magazine will guarantee various responses in cross politics, not held liable for any of them. Reading the whole magazine may cause theological maturation, possibly encourage your kids to take the Lord's Supper with you, and will likely cause you to randomly chuckle in the joy of God's wondrous world. Sign up today. 4 issues a year, $60 per year. I think I read this ad better than Toby did. Go to fightlaughfeast.com right now. Sign up now.
Wait, not responsible? Wouldn't we be responsible? Just wondering. I'm just trying to learn those.
We have on the line with us. I'm not even going to let Toby do this.
Stop it. Stop it. He's just carrying on like his show.
I figured this is the right way to do it. Blaine Kanzati
serves as the president of Idaho Family Policy Center. He's leading the charge in Idaho by writing legislation to end abortion, protect women in sports and bathrooms, and reestablish biblical justice in the public square. Before joining the Idaho Family Policy Center, Blaine previously worked for Family Policy Institute of Washington. He also spent several years teaching humanities, theology, and apologetics courses at a classical Christian school in Fairfax, Virginia. He and his wife, Anna, enjoy raising their family in the beautiful Treasure Valley. You can find out more about the Idaho Family Policy Center at idahofamily.org. Blaine, thanks for coming back on Cross Politic.
Hey, thanks, guys, for having me.
I just, reading through his bio, he's got job security because we're just so crazy. He's here to protect women's sports. Yeah. I mean, dude, the bar's that low? Really?
So... Blaine, yesterday there was actually a ruling from an Idaho judge. Idaho is like in national news right now because I think if I got this right, there was some kind of motion for some kind of injunction or stay on Idaho's trigger bill, and he ruled that one portion of it could not go into effect, but I think 95% of it or 99% of it does go into effect. Can you please explain that to those of us who only went to public school?
Ouch. Yeah, so here's what happened. The Department of Justice, the federal Department of Justice under President Joe Biden, sued the state of Idaho earlier this month in an attempt to try and block our trigger law from going into effect. And a trigger law is a law that would ban most abortions a certain number of days after Roe v. Wade is overruled. So in our case, it was 30 days after the final order was issued by the U.S. Supreme Court. That is today. And so the federal Department of Justice was doing everything it could to keep abortion legal and available in the state of Idaho. Essentially, for the most part, they failed. The district court judge in Idaho granted a partial injunction that blocks prosecutors from filing charges against doctors when they perform abortions in cases of medical emergency. So this is when a woman shows up to an ER, she's having some sort of medical emergency. Under the trigger law, as it was written, passed by the state legislature and signed by Governor Brad Little, the woman would not have been able to receive an abortion unless her life was in imminent danger. What the judge has done is he's essentially rewritten the law, which is always great. And he said that the doctor would be allowed to perform the abortion if there's a medical emergency ongoing that could cause substantial and irreversible damage to the woman's body. So that's what happened. The law is going into effect today. It's saving many, many, many babies, which is really exciting.
Is that what the judge did? Does that include, some sort of the mental state and condition of the mother? Is it that broad?
It shouldn't. No, it shouldn't. So all of this comes back to a federal law called EMTALA that deals with hospitals who receive federal Medicare and Medicaid funding. And the federal government has long interpreted this federal statute called EMTALA as requiring these hospitals to perform abortions when there's a medical emergency and the mother wants the abortion. Now, it's funny because this federal statute doesn't actually say anything about abortion. This is just the federal government's, really bad interpretation of their own law. Even still, what the judge did is he said, if a medical emergency is ongoing, the woman can receive the abortion in a hospital emergency room that's partially funded by Medicare or Medicaid. And it should not include, the really broad health of the mother type stuff like mental health or social health or financial health. Okay. It should be a true medical emergency. That's the way that the federal law at least has been interpreted by the federal government.
It's really interesting because by right, Blaine, wouldn't EMTALA actually be opposed to what they want to try and do with it? Right. So you have two human beings. Wouldn't EMTALA require that you try and save both of them?
So that's the way that a federal district court judge down in Texas is interpreting the same law. That judge issued a ruling also yesterday morning, that said that the federal government's interpretation of EMTALA would require the hospital rooms to care for the child, the preborn child, as if it's a patient. Yeah. So therefore, an abortion would not be allowed in a case of a medical emergency, right. Unless the woman's unless the woman's life is in imminent danger. So yeah, it's funny that our district court judge interprets EMTALA, which says nothing about abortion, as requiring abortions, and the district court judge down in Texas interprets EMTALA as prohibiting those abortions.
Is this something that you think might actually make it to the Supreme Court, how we interpret EMTALA?
Yeah, I think so. So the way it's going with the lawsuit in Texas, where the Texas Attorney General is suing the Biden administration over its interpretation of EMTALA, the ruling there obviously is entirely 180 degrees out from what the ruling was up here in Idaho. Uh-huh. So we're setting ourselves up for a split circuit where the U.S. Supreme Court is probably going to have to rule on the question.
So Blaine, can you just quickly outline the state of, there have been a few bills that have recently been passed, and now there's a few, court cases now challenging these bills. There's a heartbeat bill. There's this trigger law. Can you just kind of give a quick overview, like where are we at with all that, and what's the next thing
here in Idaho?
Here in Idaho.
Yeah, the heartbeat law went into effect 2 weeks ago, started saving babies right away. In fact, Planned Parenthood in the state of Idaho stopped performing all abortions immediately after the heartbeat law went into effect. The trigger law, the one that we're talking about today, that goes into effect today, bans most abortions from conception. So it gives even greater protection to preborn babies than the heartbeat law does. The criminal penalties section of the trigger law supersedes the criminal penalty section of the heartbeat law. However, the heartbeat law included a Texas-style civil enforcement mechanism that allows family members to sue the doctor if the doctor performs an unlawful abortion after a preborn baby's heartbeat can be detected. And that portion of the heartbeat law is still in effect. So we still have that Texas-style civil enforcement mechanism that allows families to recover monetary damages when one of their family members are unlawfully aborted.
So with the trigger law, I just wanted to hear you say that again. You said that actually bans most abortions from conception on.
Yep. So it includes exceptions for rape, incest, and now, of course, medical emergencies because of the federal judge's order that was issued last night.
Didn't the trigger bill already include some sort of medical emergency?
The trigger law included an exception for abortions performed when the woman's life is in imminent danger.
Which is not an abortion.
Yes, morally, you and I would say that is not an abortion. The intent is not to kill the baby. The intent is to save the life of the mother, and that would not be an abortion. However, legally, the way that we define abortion, it is legally considered an abortion. So the judge, of course, again, rewrote that exception to now include medical emergencies when the woman's life is not threatened, but when there is some sort of danger. Yeah.
So he went broader. He went from life of the mother to medical emergencies. That's what the judge did there. Right.
Yes.
Okay. And is there a time limit on any of those exceptions, Blaine? So if
8 months, 9 months?
I mean, if there's a rape or incest or whatever, is that mean they can perform abortions throughout the entirety of the pregnancy? If that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not a fan, obviously, of rape and incest exceptions. I want to get rid of them. I don't think that any child should be held, liable for the sins of the father or for the circumstances of their conception.
Right.
However, I will say that the rape and incest exceptions in Idaho abortion laws are as narrowly written as you possibly can. It requires the woman to file a police report before she received the abortion, and then submit that police report to the abortionist 24 hours in advance of the abortion taking place, which is about as tightly, scripted as you can get with a rape and incest exception. Some rape and incest exceptions rely on just the word of the mom, where the mom can go into an abortionist and say, hey, I was raped, therefore I want an abortion.
Right.
So ours is pretty narrowly drafted.
Hey, Blaine, I just want to say, man, listen to you talk about this. Thank you so much for serving us here in Idaho, man. Appreciate your work so much. Here's the last question I want to ask you. Why is Idaho so important in this particular battle and fight? Because I read the Washington Post, and they said the Biden administration on Wednesday scored its first legal victory since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. And I'm like, wow, they've really focused in on Idaho. Why us? Why bring that fight here?
Yeah, so obviously we are one of the states that have banned most abortions after conception. We also have a very, very liberal district court judge in our federal district, and so they thought that this would be the place where they could score the biggest victory possible, that they could then use as ammunition in challenging other state laws in other districts that might not be as liberal as ours. So it was just, they went judge shopping, and they knew which judge would give them the best outcome. Let's be honest.
So what do you think's going to happen, Blaine? Just from your perspective, do I understand that has the heartbeat and the trigger law both been challenged in the same case?
Yeah, so the heartbeat law and the trigger law have both been challenged at the Idaho State Supreme Court on state constitutional issues.
Okay.
And this is really getting in the weeds. The state Supreme Court has allowed both of those laws to go into effect, which is why they are both currently in effect as we speak.
Right.
And it's unlikely that the state Supreme Court is going to block either of those. In order for them to block either of those laws, they would have to say that there's a state constitutional right under the Idaho state constitution to receive an abortion, and that's crazy, of course. That's absolutely nonsense.
So you expect the state Supreme Court to rule in favor of these laws and allow them to remain in force, but the federal district court, you think that may go against us?
Well, so I think we've seen as far as the federal district court judge is willing to go, which is rewriting the life of the mother exception to now include medical emergency. I don't think he's going to go any further than that. And I think that's going to remain until the issue is ultimately considered by the Supreme Court. The Ninth Circuit, of course, is a very liberal circuit court of appeals, and it'll side with our federal district court judge on the medical emergency issue.
Right.
Hey, Blaine, if people want to give money to help you guys continue to do a great job, what website should they go to right now?
Oh, I love you, Knox. IdahoFamily.org. IdahoFamily.org.
Oh, man.
Hey, brother, praying for
Support
you.
Blaine.
Yeah, get some rest over there.
You're doing a great job.
Yep.
All right. Is Carl Berglund somebody we should have as our county commissioner? I say so, and you're going to find out why next on Cross Politics.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
This is where Dave and I plan this year's company holidays.
Let's go through the list.
Easter,
Too religious.
St. Patrick's Day?
too white. Mother's Day?
Way too cisgendered.
All of your usual holidays have been canceled this year.
But we still have Karl Marx's birthday!
Need a real reason to party? Find a new job at redballoon.work.
He lost his ear.
Welcome back.
Hey, this is my job. Help our poor guest.
Yeah, look what you did.
Man, y'all done. Welcome back to Cross Politic. This is the part where I welcome people to the second segment. Hey, I want to let you guys know about some friends of ours. Blue Ridge Reformed Church is a potential CREC church plant starting in Roanoke,
Virginia
Valley.
Are you serious?
Virginia.
Yeah.
And they're having their first service Sunday, September 4th at 6 p.m.
Praise God.
So if you're anywhere near the Roanoke Valley, you should check them out. They're located at Cloverdale Road, 6032 Cloverdale Road, Roanoke, Virginia. You can find out more at blueridgereformed.org.
You know, I hear that Roanoke is actually the original Plymouth. Just saying, Plymouth Rock. I'm just saying that I've heard.
Hey,
I ain't
using
trying
a
to start no fights.
smartphone or computer opens the door to a host of digital temptations in a world saturated with pornography and other harmful content. What's a Christian supposed to do? We need to take a proactive approach, welcoming transparency in our digital media choices.
Sunshine.
And accountable to you. That's accountable, the number 2, the word you, makes that easy. Their accountability software shares detailed activity reports from all your devices and your kids' devices in real time to the accountability partners you choose. With accountability in place, your family can effectively guard against temptations online and live with purity and integrity. Learn more and try it for free at accountable2u.com/FLF. Speaking of accountability.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That'll work.
And
That'll work.
sunshine.
That'll work.
We're grateful to have with us Carl Berglund today on the show. Carl's 4th generation Idahoan, raised in Latah County. He lives in Kendrick with his wife Julie, where they have raised 7 children, and he's running for county commissioner in Latah County. Carl, thanks for coming on Cross Politics.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Is this your first time on the show?
This is my very first time on the show.
What?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. And
Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we want to know, why in the world are you running for county commissioner?
Yeah.
So do you
I mean,
want the-
people who do that are crazy.
Yeah. So we already looking at you sideways.
Yeah, right. So the short answer is my wife told me to. No.
No.
Yes.
We should have Julie on here. Julie,
You hang those earpieces up. Let's get the missus is here too.
Now the reason I'm running is because there's a couple of things that happen here. One, the opportunity came open to serve, right? The seat's vacant, and I believe that the citizens of Latah County need somebody sitting in that seat that knows what government's supposed to do, more to the point, knows what government's not supposed to do, actually understands that the money that's being utilized within the county budget belongs to the people, and is interested in taking steps to make sure that the people really know what's going on with their money, and understands that it's the responsibility of county leadership to clear the way for citizens to engage in economic activity, grow businesses, attract new businesses so that we can have economic activity, so that we can have more revenue, so that we can keep our county nice. We want to be the Shire, do we want to be Gotham? I prefer the Shire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's running on that platform. The
Yeah.
Shire. Going for the Shire, not Gotham.
I want my Hobbit house.
So Gabe, you almost ran for that. Well, you ran
I did
for that
ran.
position.
I did
Yeah,
ran.
you
So he's
did
running
run.
for a
You did
different
run.
district. You're in District 3, is that
Right,
right?
that's correct.
Yep. I ran in District 2, and
Yeah.
there's actually another gentleman who's running in District 2 as a conservative
But
against.
so are there 3 districts in our county?
That's right.
correct.
Okay, so there's a seat for each district. Is that right? Because there's just 3 county commissioners.
That's correct.
Okay.
There's a seat for each district,
Yeah.
and we do the things a little bit uniquely here in Latah County. All the citizens of the county vote for all 3 commissioners.
Even though you can only run
Interesting.
from your district.
Oh, I didn't know
Carl
that.
lives in his
Interesting.
district,
Why-
and
why
he
do
can
they
run
do
from
that?
District 3.
Because that's the way we've been doing it forever.
Does that
But he's not representing you. Why do you get to vote for him?
does that end up making like
Because you make decisions on the whole county budget.
Right.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
right?
Okay. All right.
So you're representing these people over here, but you're also kind of making decisions
That
on
affect the whole county.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So Carl, let's drill down a little bit.
It's a little tough. It's, I mean,
I was going to let Gabe kind of drill down on let you talk about your platform because you guys kind of shared this.
This is like the county commissioner
Right, exactly.
like,
This
side of the table.
Yeah.
that's true.
Or at least-
yeah, don't get my juju on you,
know-
though. You don't want
Oh,
I
man.
want to let you try and move your platform down in more details a little further so we can understand. So, what are you going to do, and what are you going to run on to say, we should actually elect Carl Berglund as our county commissioner?
Okay. So if you've been to my website or you've seen any of my literature,
I haven't.
right?
Where is your website?
Website Berglund Idaho.com.
Okay.
Berglund for Idaho.
I'm going to look it up right now while you're talking.
Is it B-E-R-G or B-U-R-G?
B-E-R-G-L-U-N-D. You know me all this time?
Yes, sir.
He's just helping the people. Go ahead. Don't get Gabe to saying stuff. No.
Or spelling stuff.
So transparency, tax reform, economic development. Right? I think that those three items encapsulate just about everything that one is under the purview of the county commission, and two, the county commission can focus on to.
You actually have authority.
Yeah. To do.
So what do you mean by transparency?
Transparency. Well, let's just, for instance, let's just talk about the county budget for a minute. The August 31st is the community hearing meeting for community input on the newest proposed budget. Okay. When did that get promulgated?
No.
It got promulgated in the newspaper just a few days ago.
Did it go? Oh, yeah, newspaper, because everyone reads the newspaper.
Okay, so it did get promulgated. It did get promulgated. It is on the website. It's a budget summary. It's a $28 million budget, which is 4-point-something million more than it was last year. And you've got about 10 days to digest it, review it, analyze it, and then go to the county commission meeting on August 31st and have questions. So is that transparent?
Not very. I mean, like you go to I remember when I was running for county commissioner, just trying to figure out what the budget was, where were things being spent. Well, it was crazy trying to. You got to go deep into the website to find it. I mean, it was, and then they didn't even drop it to you in Excel format. You got it in like PDF or something, so you couldn't even do like budget analysis.
But I mean, come on now. We got a bunch of great people who are back there who are making decisions about the money that they spend. And what could go wrong?
No, the current county commissioners
what could go wrong taxes. Indeed. Well, and I want to hasten to point out that this is absolutely no reflection on the staff. Okay. Because now I have worked with the staff with respect to this budget, and they've been more than helpful, supplied me with all the documentation that I asked for, gave me all the backups, gave me the spreadsheets, okay? But you have to you have to call them and ask them. First of all, you have to know to call them and ask them. Okay? So the county commissioners are the ones that give the direction on what's promulgated, how it's promulgated, right? The county commission is the one that sets the schedule, right? That for the release of the information and then the public input. That's all on the county commission. Those are three people that make that decision.
Do they set the budget as well?
That's absolutely.
Yeah. So then the question is, that $4 million increase, is it good, bad, ugly?
I don't know. I just looked at it. I can't tell you. Okay.
You have 10 days to figure that out.
I have between now and the 31st to figure it out, to go to the meeting with questions the same as you do. All right.
So what should have happened?
So that's a really good question. And here's what I think should happen. I think that the public should be more involved as the budget is being developed. It's an ongoing process. I know that. And it's not that I think, we don't want everybody looking into the middle of the work as the work's going on. But the fact of the matter is, your average citizen who works 8 to 10 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week, right, and has a family, goes to church, has kids at football, baseball, soccer, the whole 9 yards, right? How many hours do they have to get a budget, to break the budget down, put it in a CSV file or an Excel file, and analyze it so that they can come to a meeting with questions? How much time do they have?
Yeah, they don't.
Right. They don't. They're not going to have 10 or 12 hours to dedicate to that. But the fact of the matter is, I think it is leadership's responsibility to make the information available to them so they can come to the meeting with intelligent, probing questions, right?
So otherwise,
or at least key information, like here's what we're changing this year, or here are the areas that we think we need adjustment, or that kind of thing. That's like helpful information,
right? You could, for instance, you can go to the state website, and the state's done a pretty good job with their budget and how they disseminate the information, right? Here's where the money comes from with a pie chart, right? Here's where the money goes with a pie chart and a histogram if you want it, right? We don't do that. And it's just simply because the folks in the building don't have the tools to do that, right? And I don't think that it's been a high enough priority. It hasn't been a high enough priority for the commission to make sure that the folks have the tools to be able to release that kind of information. And this is 2022, right? I mean, you should be able to. We have the capacity to be able to give 100% insight to the budget as it's developed, right?
Right. And it should be available like right here online.
Just
I should really click on it and just find it, pull it down. I want to ask you about one of the things on your website here. You say, again, you all can find this at Berglund4, the number 4, Idaho.com. It says, I firmly believe it is possible, even necessary, to run our county without breaking our citizens. Real tax reform is critical to this endeavor. What do you have in mind? What kind of tax reform are you have in mind?
Okay, so that speaks specifically to not beggaring our citizens with property tax. Let's just talk about property tax.
Yeah,
right?
please.
Okay.
I like this.
So I'm gonna say this. I'm on record as having said this multiple times. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it on the air. Taxing property and taxing production is insane. It's flat insane.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also immoral.
It's immoral and it's antithetical to the principles of a free republic. All right. And just because we've been doing it for 180 years and we've gotten away with it, and everybody hasn't gone bankrupt and gone into the poorhouse, doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Okay. So
So you want to get rid of property taxes?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get rid of property taxes.
Are you sure everybody was?
Most everybody will say it.
But let's be real about this. That's not going to happen tomorrow. Right? That's not going to happen in a Berglund first term or a second term or a 10th term. Okay, because we have not had the conversations, right, whereby we can structure a reasonable replacement protocol.
Right. Well,
and that's what we have to do.
Also a legislative problem. So it's actually a state
it
tax structure that the legislators have to overturn, right?
Right. And what's necessary for this, guys, is a coalition of intelligent, committed, devoted people to get together and actually draft a meaningful tax reform policy. I've been working with several pretty smart people, right, and we're trying to get this together, right, so that we can present it to the legislature and say, hey, let's look at this, right? And what we know is we're going to have to do this a few times, right? But we're going to start this process and say we need you to look at this because we don't like this.
What ideas do you have, Carl, or what are the ideas that are being floated? I mean, how do you replace the income of property taxes?
Well, I mean,
you tax the rich.
All right.
Well, at the end of it, there can be some. There's going to be a lot of contention about this, but the fact of the matter is that, as I said, taxing production and taxing property is insane, and quite frankly, in my opinion, is criminal. Right? It's dumb. Right? So what's left to tax? You have imports left to tax, and you have consumption left to tax. That's all you have left to tax. Right? And so then people are going to freak out and say, "Oh my gosh, you're going to sales tax? We're already sales tax to death." No, you're not sales tax to death. Your sales tax plus income tax plus property tax, right? All these taxes added up, right? That's what's killing you, right? The sales tax is not killing you, right? So let's talk about how we're actually going to draft a tax policy that you actually can outproduce your taxes, right? You can actually work hard enough so that the taxes are not eating you up, right?
Right.
So that at the end of the day, you've outproduced what you've consumed, and you're not being penalized for it.
Yeah, you're not being penalized for making more, like it happens when you tax the rich.
Right. So and then what happens there, right? What happens there, Toby? If you're doing that, well, you have some money left over. You can invest in a business, right? You create a business,
or hire.
and you hire 6 guys to run your business for you, and there's more economic development. I mean, this is just real sane, common sense stuff, right? And
which we need a lot more of.
Yeah.
And do I have I don't have all the definitive answer, right? Because I mean, we've been doing it wrong for a long time.
Why not a flat tax?
Well, hold on. Let's talk about that in a second. Okay, Carl, we got to go, but I want you to give your website. What's your website, real quick?
Berglund4Idaho.com. Berglund 4 Idaho.com.
I'm going to ask you some questions when we go backstage about economic development. I still want to talk a little bit more tax reform.
Flat tax.
What can a county commissioner save you from the IRS? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure that out. And maybe what happens if you're not elected?
The sheriff.
What does it look like for that? All right. We'll be backstage. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, we'll have James White. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
When tyrants take over, what's the first thing they do? Disarm. It happened in Russia, China, Germany, and most recently, Afghanistan. Why? Because disarmed people are easier to control. And over the last century and a half, American tyrants have been carrying out a slow, methodical disarmament that no one is talking about. State education. Tyrants know that education is warfare. Our rulers have a vested interest in making you totally harmless. They've got big plans and they don't want you getting in the way. Think about it. Would you rather fight an army decked out with high-powered rifles or a bunch of dinky water pistols? They know that if you can think critically, you're a threat. At New St. Andrews College, we want to graduate men and women who are dangerous. Dangerous to the world, dangerous to the principalities and powers, dangerous to spiritual wickedness in high places. Education can either arm you or disarm you. It can make you a threat or make you a useful idiot. So, where you get that education counts. Click the link to apply to New St. Andrews College today.